right, is staff ready, or should we do this? Okay. All right, so it's 5:30 on March 19th, 2026. I'll bring the Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting on this day to order. Start with some quick introductions. We have almost a full complement of board members. We've got Garrett, Heidi, Shanna, Justin, and Mike, and myself. I'm Stephen Coe. We have staff here with Julia sitting there, the planning director, Aiden, Joella, and Becky over at the computer. With that, we have a slew of minutes that were sent out with our packet. Has everybody had a chance to look at those to their liking? A lot of head nods. We'll go with that. With that, I'd entertain a motion to accept or approve the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make your motion to approve the minutes as listed in the agenda.
Okay. We have a second?
I will second that.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Anybody want to discuss anything before we ask for a vote? Very good. With that, I'll ask for this. We don't have a thing for this. We'll just ask for a yay nay vote on this. So everybody in favor of approving the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The minutes are approved. Moving on to the next agenda item is hearing of cases and appeals. First thing we have up is Appeal 2502. And Joella, do you have a report for us or a presentation?
I do, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So the first item on the agenda is an appeal of the zoning officer's decision to deny an application for a variance for a property located at 511 East Front Street for an off-premise billboard sign. The applicant is TLC Properties, and the representative is Eric Sweet. A little bit of background. On October 24th, 2025, planning staff did deny an application for a variance. Staff had determined the proposal to convert an existing legal non-conforming static billboard sign to a digital sign in the commercial light industrial zone does not comply with sections 174260 and 174270 of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code. As such, the proposal does not meet the criteria for approval of a variance. The applicant filed an appeal of the staff's decision and are requesting that this body overturn the denial of planning staff and approve the request for the variance to allow the alteration of a legal non-conforming use. Again, the proposal is for TLC Properties. It's appealing the zoning officer's determination denying a variance to convert an existing legally non-conforming off-premise static billboard to a digital display sign within the CM zone, and it's located at 511 East Front Street. The applicant's proposal to convert the 230 square foot, 30-foot tall, two-pole static billboard to a digital display sign of the same size, and the applicant has stated that the proposal maintains the current nonconformity by retaining the sign's area and height. The proposal includes replacing the existing two-pole with a monopole and alters the billboard from a static sign to an illuminated sign. The zone for the billboard is here in the CM, directly south of a C2 and an R2 zone. Directly to the south of that is also CM. This is a photo of the sign as it is currently existing. An aerial view, the sign is located in the Executive Village parking lot, directly to the south of Executive Village on Front Street. The staff's decision. On October 24th of 2025, staff issued a denial for a variance based on the following. The existing sign is 239 square feet which exceeds the 100 square foot maximum, and it's 30 feet in height, which exceeds the 20 feet height limit in this particular zone. Illumination is prohibited in the CM zone. Allowing illumination would increase rather than reduce the sign's nonconformity. Non-conforming signs may be relocated, replaced, or altered, except towards compliance. The proposal is to allow illumination and make structural changes from a two-pole to a monopole, which does not make the sign more conforming, which is in relation to section 174270 of Butte-Silver Municipal Code. Section 174260C permits billboards along federal aid primary highways or interstate highways in the C2 zone, M1, M2, or RM2 only. While the existing billboard predates zoning and is therefore legally nonconforming, the proposed changes are not a permitted use in the CM zone. The sign is located approximately 214 feet from an R2 or a two-family residential zone that's located directly to the north, which fails to meet the 500-foot minimum separation required by section 174260C, number 2. The Butte-Silver 2021 Comprehensive Plan reflects community input and the public's desire to limit off-site advertising, prohibiting billboards and flashing signage in the historic district, and to revise the existing ordinance to keep beauty and views of the surrounding mountains, limiting billboards. Approval of this request would conflict with the community's stated goals to minimize visual impacts, reduce light intrusion, and limit the proliferation and intensity of billboard signage. The powers of the board, section 71114(1)(e) of the MCA provides that a local government with self-governing powers, which includes Butte-Silver, must comply with all state laws that require or regulate planning or zoning. Montana Code annotated, as well as section 1754, Board of Adjustments of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code, defines the power of the board as follows: to hear and decide appeals where it is alleged there is an error in any order, requirement, decision, or determination made by the enforcing officer in the enforcement of this chapter of the title. To hear and decide special exceptions to the terms of this title upon which such board is required to pass under such ordinance. To authorize upon appeal in specific cases such as variance from the terms of this title, as will not be contrary to public interest, where owing to special conditions, a literal enforcement of the provision of title will result in unnecessary hardship, and so that the spirit of this title shall be observed and substantial justice done. In exercising the above-mentioned powers, such board may, in conformity with the provisions of this title, reverse or affirm wholly or partly, or modify the order, requirements, decision, or determination appealed from, and may make such order, requirement, decision, or determination as ought to be made, and to that end shall have all the powers of the officers from whom the appeal is taken. That's everything.
Thank you, Joella. Are there any questions of the board for staff at this point? I have one, and it can be directed at Joella or Julia or whoever needs to answer this. So if a sign wanted to come in this zoned area or down the street, brand new one, would it outright be allowed or would it be denied? What's the case?
I can answer that, Mr. Chair. In this instance, in the CM zone, are you asking if an off-premise sign?
Yeah.
Similar to this?
Similar to this, but assuming there is not one in that spot, another spot, if one were to try to come in, what would be the ruling?
So in the CM zone, off-premise billboard signs are not allowed. So it would be denied if it were to come across our desk as a new sign.
Okay. All right, anybody else before I ask the applicant to come up? Okay, is the applicant here or? So state your name and let's hear your story.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Eric Sweet, with Lamar, real estate manager for Lamar Advertising. Hope everyone's recovering from the St. Patrick's Day shenanigans around here this week. Appreciate your time this evening and working with us. Everything staff has helped us with the application. Just want to kind of make a few notes. I think that Joella covered it well, but you know, when we put in the application, we do a lot of research on the front end to make sure that this is a good position to put these billboards that make sense not only for us but for the town. You know, our kind of position as a company is to leave the town better at the end of the day than we found it. So I think what we found with this site was, how do we take this location that is obviously an existing non-conforming structure and to be able to make it more appealing aesthetically to the town. What we can do is we can reconstruct it by taking away some of the older I-beam structures with two poles, and we're able to make that a single monopole. So aesthetically, that'll be much more pleasing at the end of the day. Sizing, configuration, things of that nature, we take a look at what the height is currently. We're not asking to increase the nonconformity in any manner to that respect. By proposing the digital billboard, there's other things that are heavily regulated that we make sure that we follow to make sure that nothing's going to turn into Las Vegas or any crazy bright, flashy sign. The ordinance already does have provisions that have a 5,000 nit brightness level, which is below the industry standard. So as far as the brightness goes, it'll be maintained at the brightness level that's prescribed in the local ordinance, as well as the manufacturer of the technology we use, Daktronics, does have other technologies, the ability to manually go in and change the brightness, as well as automatic brightness dimming technology. I did share a video earlier as well with kind of some updates in technology that show the brightness cone, so like where the visibility of the sign will be on the street, so that way it's not reflecting into and interfering with any residential zoning districts nearby. Also, the site is very buffered. It's got the railroad to the south, the CM zoning. It's got the C2 zoning to the north before you even get to the residential districts. Like to show, I did provide, if you have the drone photos, do you have those by chance? If not, that's okay. So in relation to the lighting cone being a very downward directional lighting from the sign, the zoning image that you had here with the relation to the residential district is perpendicular to the site. This cone will make it so it's lighting away from the residential. I did take a drone photo. I did try to, from the residential building, I did go up, and you have to get over the executive suites building right there before you can even see it. That residential that's there is a single story residential. It's also kind of up the hill from the site. So with the downward lighting, with the out of the viewing cone, you wouldn't receive the lighting factor that is the concern here for this. I think it's, again, this is a very a good application for a variance because it's a site that's, again, in an area that's protected and buffered by commercial zoning and by the rail yards. So that's why we're here asking for this. If you don't mind, if you could pull up the zoning map of the site, please. Do you have one of the whole city in a larger area?
Joella, if you go to the zoning ordinance update website, there's a link to the map.
Thank you. zoom into the location, please. And just put your mouse where the, yeah, what's it, yeah. Yeah, so we were like right there. So I just wanted to show kind of the, the buffer with the other commercial zonings, the railroad. Again, if that viewing cone was in there, it's not going to be reflecting into the R2 zoning. Additionally, I did some research on other signage in Butte, digital signage specifically, and I did actually find another digital sign in the same CM district, which did state that it was non-illuminated. So I don't know if they had a variance to get the sign or how they were able to put it up. It's at Steel Furniture. So they're able to do digital signage in the same CM zoning district that we're requesting for tonight. That was the first location. The second location was the Butte-Silver Health Department, which is actually in a residential zoning district, which we would never be allowed or even propose to put something in a residential zoning district. So I think that just to kind of show the nature of, what we're asking for and compared to what has already been set in the precedents, we're asking for something that's very reasonable. And again, just to reinforce that we're going to follow all of the brightness regulations. It's going to be a static 8-second message. It's not going to be anything animated. I think actually the health department is running animated content on their display. So what I mean by that is just the animations, the flipping, the twirling, the changing of text. Ours is a static message. Like to thank everybody for our time tonight. Again, appreciate your consideration in this and letting us do this. We want to leave your community better than we found it. Look forward to working with you and do what we can to improve the aesthetics of our structure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do any of the board members have questions of the applicant at this point?
Do you know the square footage of the two other examples you provided?
The other two are on-premise signage. So one of them is a wall sign at Steel Furniture. I don't know the square footage, maybe like a 5 by 10 size. It's a good size. And then the other one at the health department is a pylon sign that's probably about the same size, probably about 5 by 10.
Significantly smaller then.
Well, they're different. It's a different type of sign too,
Okay,
for on-premise versus off-premise.
great.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right. I think we'll move on to the public hearing portion of this, and then we'll have some discussion before we ask for a vote.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So with that, I'll open the public portion of this. So if there's anybody that would like to voice an opinion in favor of this appeal, please come to the mic. State your name and let us hear.
Sorry, you have to be smarter than the microphone, so I apologize. My name is Allie Carley. I'm also with Lamar Advertising. I just wanted to make a little public comment on some of the things that we do. But first, I'd like to thank you all so much for taking the time to hear us out this evening. One thing I wanted to bring up is, as Eric mentioned and spoke upon, is leaving communities better than we found them. We truly do believe in doing that, and we truly believe with working with nonprofits alike as much as possible. And in Butte, we have some limited inventory at the moment, and so it's really hard for us to be able to donate space to nonprofits and help share and showcase their messages. So this is a great way for us to be able to do that more often and more frequently and showcase. I'll give you a couple of examples of things we've done in the past, but working with the Missing and Indigenous Women's Project, I know if my child went missing, anybody's child in general goes missing, we want to make sure and share that as quickly as possible. And we do that with not only Amber Alerts that we're automatically looped into with our digital system all across the state and country, but we would also do that locally. We've worked with other missing persons cases. For example, Ava Prather, who went missing in Missoula. We tried to get it up as quickly as possible. We've done that in Billings and other communities throughout the state. So we would love to be able to help the Butte community when something horrible and tragic would happen, such as that. I think about the water issue you guys had within the last year. That's something where you guys could have utilized our channel there to communicate on and let the community know immediately, do not drink the water, or do not do this. If there's a weather emergency, heaven forbid there's a tornado, or I know those don't happen often in Montana, but just the first that popped into my head. But heaven forbid something like that happens, we are also looped into the National Emergency Alert System for weather triggers to let the communities know not to drive on XYZ road, please avoid it, there's been an emergency, or whatever it may be. So we do a lot of that. And like I said, a lot of nonprofits, and we truly do want to work with the community, and we appreciate the time, effort, and energy that staff has put into this, although we disagree with their choice, but we certainly appreciate how easy the process they made this for us as far as communicating, so we thank you very much for that. And we hope that you'll consider this variance, like Eric mentioned, it's just to take exactly what's there and just change it a little bit. It won't be any bigger. It actually might lower just slightly, depending upon how the build would come together. So it might actually be lower, and it would be a 10 by 21 square foot sign, which is, to the point of bringing up the off-premise or on-premise signs. It's about double in the size, I understand that, but it wouldn't change the footprint at all of what's already in place. So again, we appreciate your time. If you have any questions, please let us know.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else like to speak in favor of this? All right, seeing none, anybody like to speak in opposition to this? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public portion of this, and we'll open up board discussion. Julie, I'll make a statement, and please correct me if I'm wrong. What is on the table today is we're looking at the appeal of your decision to deny them a variance, and if we were to overturn that, they would still have to come to us with a variance. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, that is the correct assessment, yes.
Okay. So today we're not actually approving or disapproving the sign. We're just we would be giving them the opportunity to come to us with a variance. Okay. With that, this is a little different than we usually see across here. We don't usually see appeals. So I'm gonna, I guess, voice my opinion, and then I'm gonna go around. I'd like to hear from everybody just a little bit, where you stand on this or what, just because I think it is important in this case. My honest opinion is this is a matter of whether or not we're conforming with the rules that are existing. It's not necessarily whether they're impacting the other neighbors or the light would be impacting the residential area. It's really whether or not this change is allowed within the rules. I personally am leaning towards upholding the planning department's decision, but that's my decision. I'd like to hear from everybody else. Garrett, would you have anything to say?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I would agree with that. I understand the rabbit hole and precedent for signage and billboards in Butte, but I don't think supporting this appeal would help that at all, and support the planning board's decision with this. So I would be in favor of denying the appeal.
So when Joella was beginning her presentation, in my brain I was thinking there's just too many variables that are non-conforming, and so I was initially thinking that it should be denied. The more he spoke and the great presentation that they provided, I started thinking Butte is really good at status quo and not moving forward and moving into the future. And so it kind of just has me debating in my brain, I guess, about the approval or denying. And I know that there's a process and procedure that we need to follow and rules on the books that must be in play. And so my brain is still swirling right now, so I'm gonna let the rest of the board speak.
Thank you, Heidi. Shanna?
Thanks, Chairman. I tend to agree. I think there are just a host of reasons why it's out of ordinance with the rules. I also kind of generally think that a digital billboard is not in harmony with the historic district. I appreciate the applicant being here and providing a presentation, but Butte has had, at least one that I know of, another digital billboard, and the citizens were really up in arms about it and didn't like it in the historic district, and they had to remove it. So I really don't see how we can approve this.
Thank you, Shanna. Justin?
Never used this button before. I'm kind of with Heidi here. I'm a fan of progress and allowing Butte to make changes and move forward. I also hear you when you say it's not necessarily in line with the historic district. I think perhaps if the sign itself was within the limitations, if it was meeting what was acceptable as a regular billboard, that would be one thing that is within compliance, given the information regarding the light cast, how it's not necessarily going to be as abrasive as one might think, especially given other digital signs. Yeah, I'm in the middle, riding the fence. Unclear. Justin out.
Mike?
Well, I appreciate the applicant and the benefits that they state would be brought if we were to overturn the appeal. And I think those are all well worthwhile causes, and certainly things that people having up-to-date information is an important thing. Our role as a board is to view these applicants or appeals with an eye towards making sure they comply with the law and the letter of the law. Progress certainly is something, like Shannon was saying, that Butte does seem to lack, but that's not our role to enforce progress here. Our role is to enforce the law as it's written right now, and as it stands and is written, and the proposal as it stands doesn't conform with the law, and I'm erring on the side of agreeing with the board, the zoning department.
If I may,
Shanna,
Mr. Chair,
please.
just wanted to add a little point of clarification that I think this board, while trying to meet the letter of zoning and stay within the rules is certainly important, I think we see issues that are in the gray area. And our role is really to take a look at the rules and take a look at the proposal and see what's in the best interest of the community. Because sometimes the rules are imperfect, right? So I sort of see that as our role. And again, I guess I just, I'm in favor of progress. I'm in favor of improvements and making things better, especially in Uptown. But I just think it doesn't meet the rules, and it doesn't meet the character, and it doesn't meet the direction of where we want to take the historic district.
Thank you, Shannon. Does anybody else have any more discussion or counter arguments to each other? All right. Before I entertain a motion, just so that we're clear going into this, Julia, we we vote as a majority of the entire board, whether they're here or not. So we have, a passing would be 4 yay votes. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, I believe the statute requires 4 favorable votes regardless
Okay.
of a quorum. So
Okay.
we would need 4 in favor.
Okay. So it's not just a simple majority in this case?
Correct.
Okay, of people here. All right, with that, would somebody like to make a motion either way, however they feel?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd make a motion to deny appeal 25-2.
I'll
We have
second.
a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Motion is, is there any discussion before we ask you to vote? All right, then please indicate your vote on your paper. And the motion is to deny the appeal. All right, this being the backwards voting on this one. So for the appeal 2502, there were 5 votes, excuse me, for the motion and 1 against the motion, meaning the appeal is denied. Now, Julia, I'm unfamiliar with appeals. Do they have an opportunity for anything after this? Is it similar to the other things?
Mr. Chairman, I cannot speak to that right now. I would need to do some research as to whether they have recourse through district court, and I can have that information provided to the applicant tomorrow.
Thank you. Yeah, what Julie is talking about is a lot of times if we deny something, you have an opportunity in district court to appeal within 30 days. She's going to verify whether or not that works in this type of case in an appeal. So, okay. All right, moving on to variance 26005. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, we do. Variance application 26-4, applicant Reddy S. Frost. The proposal, the applicant is seeking to vary from conditions outlined in the Butte-Silver Municipal Code 174830 and 174840 in order to build an addition to his residence located at 2000 Roberts Avenue. The home is currently zoned C2, making it a legal non-conforming use. A little background, this case was originally presented to the Zoning Board of Adjustment at the January 15th, 2026 meeting as an appeal, Appeal 25-3. The appeal was approved by the Zoning Board voting members to allow the applicant to apply for a variance. A variance request was originally denied by the planning staff due to the fact that active construction of the proposal was taking place. According to Montana state law, the individual cannot vary from something that is already existing. Since this time, the applicant has deconstructed the proposed addition in order to qualify for the variance and has met with the Butte-Silver Planning and Building Departments to discuss what items would need to be addressed on the qualifying variance application. Butte-Silver Municipal Code 174830 and 174840 state no non-conforming use or structure shall be increased or enlarged to occupy a greater area of land than what was occupied at the effective date of the adoption of the zoning ordinance. The residential structure is located in a C2 community commercial zoning district. The surrounding character of the existing neighborhood is predominantly residential, with commercial uses located a block to the east along Harrison Avenue. The proposed development is within the traditional neighborhood place type of the comprehensive plan. This place type primarily prioritizes single-family dwellings and residential uses. Here's the aerial view of our zoning map of where the property is located. You can see it is within the C2 zoning district and adjacent to an R1 zoning district. Here's an outside view of the property. For a little more information, where you see the wooden fence, that is no longer there, and that is where the proposed addition would be built. You can see the elevated concrete basement starts right about here, and the applicant's property line does go to the edge of this concrete slab, despite the neighbor's fence running over to past that. Here's the general workup of the proposed addition. This red outlined would be parts of the addition. It would primarily be in this area where it would be built up. There would be this is the property line, this white area is the end of that concrete slab, and there would be a 3-foot setback from that property line. A variance must not be contrary to the public interest. The intent of the zoning ordinance is to protect the public interest by preventing congestion on properties in an effort to promote safety, create uniformity in zoning districts, and prevent uses of land that may have a negative impact on surrounding property owners. The proposed project would be built within a 3-foot south side yard setback and exceed the residentially permitted 35% lot coverage. The applicant has stated that the build will include a 1-hour fire-rated wall to be in compliance with building code standards. When it comes to lot coverage, the proposed addition would be built on top of an already existing elevated concrete basement. Therefore, it will not be covering any additional pervious grounds. The applicant has addressed additional concerns pertaining to stormwater runoff. A flow system has been incorporated into his designs, which will direct water towards the drainage on Roberts Avenue or towards the east side of the applicant's property. This will assist in preventing possible drainage issues from affecting the property owner located to the south. Though it would appear the proposed addition could decrease the amount of air and light currently available, a reduction of 2 feet to the south side yard setback may be reasonable. The project was originally presented to the Zoning Board of Adjustment as an appeal, which was published in the newspaper and posted on site at the property. No opposition from the community members was noted. Literal enforcement of the provisions of this title would result in unnecessary hardship. Unnecessary hardship, as defined by the Montana Supreme Court, must result from a condition unique to the property, such as peculiar property shape, topographical feature, or geological trait. This quality must preclude the applicant's ability to place a structure on the property in compliance with the zoning ordinance. The hardship may not result from a condition created by the applicant. An elevated concrete basement is featured on the parcel in question and runs directly along the southernmost property line. The residence was constructed in 1945 prior to both the implementation of the zoning ordinance and the effective date of the applicant's ownership of the property. The applied zoning district must be taken into consideration. The 2000 block of Roberts Avenue is zoned C2 despite it only consisting of residential units. Therefore, every dwelling is an existing legal non-conforming use, which could consequently discourage homeowners from investing in and adequately maintaining their properties. A hardship is present. The zoning designation of the applicant's property creates a barrier to sufficiently and effectively maintain and renovate his property. The dwelling was constructed prior to the adoption of the ordinance and well before the applicant's ownership. The spirit of the zoning ordinance shall be observed and substantial justice done. Zoning is intended to permit the reasonable use of private property while restricting practices which may infringe on the rights of adjacent landowners. Public health, safety, and general welfare must be protected and weighed against the rights of the applicant to utilize the property in a way that may be suitable. Lot coverage and setback requirements are an important factor in community development because they are intended to prevent overcrowding, maintain open space, protect the environment, and manage neighborhood aesthetic and cohesiveness. In this case, the proposed addition would be built upon an existing elevated basement, therefore no additional pervious grounds will be covered as a result of the build. Being that Butte-Silver County has a unique history that predates the implementation of zoning, it is important to consider legal, non-conforming uses and the proposed projects associated with them with an understanding for what may be deemed reasonable. The variance maintains the spirit of the zoning ordinance, without reasonable cause to prohibit varying from the regulations pertaining to non-conforming residential structures. Denying this variance could be unfairly applying regulations to some property owners and not others within the same district. Recommendations or recommended conditions of approval. All applicable permits, including building permits, plumbing, and mechanical permits, shall be obtained prior to commencing building operations. The applicant will be responsible for adequately demonstrating that the stormwater runoff will not negatively impact the neighboring property owner. The project will be required to complete necessary building inspections as determined by the Butte-Silver Building Department. Any outdoor lighting must be consistent of a typical residential dwelling with no lighting projecting or protruding onto the neighboring property. In conclusion, the intent of zoning is to prevent incompatible land uses or activities from impacting the health and safety of adjacent uses. The proposed development does not appear to be contrary to the public interest, and the parcel bears a hardship owing to conditions unique to the property. The proposal will be required to obtain appropriate permits and meet all applicable building code standards. Recommendation: approve the variance application based on written findings of fact as described in the staff report with appropriate conditions. Alternatively, the board may deny or continue public hearings on the application. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aiden. Good job trying to stay out of the sunlight there. Surprised you're able to see. All right, do board members have any questions of staff on this particular variance right now? Okay. All right, is the applicant here? All right, you know the drill, state your name.
I do indeed. Reddy Frost, 2000 Roberts Avenue, Butte, Montana, or Butte, America, I should say. Yeah, so there's storm, every time it rains in my basement now, and it's just covered in mold in that section. And then on top of that, the house needs quite a bit of renovation on the outside and also on all of the electrical and plumbing in the house. I mean, it gets a little bit scary sometimes, but you know, one problem at a time. Stopping water is number one, and preventing fires is number two. And I think with the approval of this application, I can do all of those, and it won't look the way that it does right now, which is does not look good. It's not a good looking house. The shape of it's cool, but there's paint peeling everywhere. And until I get rid of that water intrusion issue, which I think half of it goes inside of the basement and the other half goes onto the neighbor's property already. So I think there will be a lot less water going towards any foundations once this is complete. And I saw some really cool, I attached them in some of my details, but there's these slots that you, when I go to pour back the sidewalks, because I have to demo them for a foundation wall, I can put in these steel, they're basically like gutters that are entrenched in the sidewalk. So it'll just pour right under. There will be no water on the sidewalk for anybody to slip on or anything, and it will be diverted away from any foundation towards the storm drain. So that's pretty exciting. And we do a lot of firewalls at Markovich on many of our construction jobs. I worked on the VA, which was a significant amount of fire-rated materials installed, which was a really cool build. And then also on the apartments on Meadowlark, which all had party walls, which were fire-rated walls in between each of the proposed living areas for the folks at those apartments. So I'm well versed, and I really appreciate being given the chance to come back and seek this application, and for all the help that the building department has given me. I've learned so much. It is way easier than I thought it was, and I wish I would have known most of the things I know now at the beginning of this process, because oh my gosh. Anyways, that concludes my statements. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions of the applicant at this time? Nope. All right, hearing none, we'll do the public hearing portion of this. So does anybody want to speak in favor of this project? Please come up to the mic and state your name and what you have to say. All right, seeing none, anybody would like to speak in opposition to this project? Again, seeing none, we'll close the public portion of this. Does the board have any discussion before we move on to a vote? I'll share my 2 cents again. This seemed to check all the boxes, meeting a hardship and everything to qualify for a variance. Seems very passionate about doing the right thing and taking care of the neighborhood. So I have no issue with this one personally.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I also don't have any issue. I think, yeah, the zoning district is very much residential in nature. I appreciate the applicant's, persistence working with the building department and everything to put this in front of us. I would support the variance.
Mr. Chairman, I would just encourage the applicant to stay in contact with the planning department and the building officials and maybe even Public Works on the, sounds like you got to tear out the sidewalk and put it back. I think, they're there to help you. So just stay in contact with them. But it sounds like with the provisions, we're going in the right direction.
All right, anybody else? Entertain a motion on this?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve
Okay.
the variance.
I'd second it.
So we have a motion and a second for variance 2605. Motion is to approve. Any discussion before we vote? All right. Please indicate your preference on your voting sheet. 5 for variance 26-5. All votes are for the motion. It's passed. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
I really appreciate it.
Good luck. All right, the next thing on the list is conditional use permit 2601. Joella?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just get it ready. This is for a special use permit for 117 Rocky Mountain Lane. The application number is conditional use 26-1. Special use permit application 26-1 is, the applicant is Brent Choquette of Phoenix, Arizona. And his proposal is to locate an Airbnb in an existing residence per section 1738-180, special uses allowed of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code. Applicant is proposing to rent out a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom residence for overnight stays and short-term rentals through online hosting program. The zone is a single-family residential. To the north, you can see there's an R3, which is where the Big Sky Assisted Living is. To the east, you have Meadowlark Apartments and Aspen Place Apartments. And then just directly to the west, you have the Lynx duplex living. The comprehensive plan place type is the contemporary neighborhood place type. It's generally single-family residential housing, but it also provides the opportunity for higher density housing where appropriate and includes resort-scale development in rural parts of the county. They're generally pedestrian-friendly and accessible for all modes of transportation. Some future development in this place type is envisioned to include duplexes and triplexes, as well as infill development resembling that of traditional neighborhood development. The area may also incorporate a mix of private and public amenities, including trailheads, greenway connectors, and active recreation, including ball fields, swimming pools, and tennis courts. Currently, this area consists primarily of single-family residential uses. Again, the location and character is kind of a mix. The general area where 117 Rocky Mountain is primarily all single-family, but just to the east, you have Highway 90 with the Meadowlark and Aspen Place Apartments, Big Sky Senior Living, and again, the Lynx of the Country Club. Some potential nuisances for short-term renters may be less concerned about creating excessive noise within the neighborhood. Staff would suggest that the owner enforce rules through the online hosting programs that does not allow for parties. And wayfinding, staff does believe that the address should be clearly posted and be visible from the street to mitigate the potential for guests to mistake a neighbor's house for a rental unit. The applicant states that the house is posted with an address on the front of the residence, and street signs are posted at the intersections. Some of the conditions of approval are standard for our short-term rentals. The applicant shall be required to secure a state of Montana public accommodations license through the Butte-Silver Health Department. Any remodeling of the existing residence performed to accommodate the proposed business will be required to meet all applicable building code, health code, as required by the Butte-Silver Building Department and the Health Department. All necessary approvals must be granted prior to the applicant's receiving final business license approval. The property address must be visible, including past dark and entrance must be clearly identified. And the applicant shall be limited to the occupancy level as determined by the Butte-Silver Building and Fire Departments. The occupancy level shall be determined prior to the business license approval. The applicant will be limited specifically to the business as stated and approved. Any future business expansions, changes in business, or building expansions will be required further review by the Zoning Board of Adjustments. and the applicant will be required to acquire a Butte-Silver boat business license for short-term rentals. In conclusion, based on the above information, staff's analysis of the review criteria, and any public opinion as it relates to the criteria, the board must determine if the applicant has presented evidence to the satisfaction of the board that said undue detriment will not result from the granting of a special use permit for the short-term rental. Section 1738-160, special or conditional use permit decision of the board, requires staff to refer the application to the board within 15 days of the receipt of the application, and all request information the board shall within 60 days deny the application and give reason, or approve the application, and the zoning officer shall issue a zoning compliance permit with the conditions specified herein. Thank you.
Can you see any more, Joe? Thank you. Does the board have any questions of staff on this one? Okay. Is the applicant here or a representative?
I'm Mark Joquette from Butte. This is my brother's property. And I know that it's no pets, no parties or large gatherings, 10 o'clock curfew. I think the address is posted on the house. Like it said, any questions? I'm standing in, I don't know.
You kind of touched on it. There are conditions to the approval in there. Would he be okay with those?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any questions of the applicant?
One quick comment. I live 2 houses down. Definitely get the numbers up because the houses are not sequentially numbered.
Okay.
They're out of order. It's weird. But
Okay.
yeah, definitely recommend that.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't need my wall.
All right. Thank you. We'll go to the public portion of this. And so does anybody in the audience or here have want to voice an opinion for this project? All right. Seeing none. Anybody want to voice an opinion in opposition to this project? Again, seeing none. We'll close the public portion of this. Does the board have any comments they'd like to make before we go for a vote? It's kind of standard procedure for us with these. We've set a strong precedence in approving these, so I don't know that that would change right now. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I would make a motion for approval.
I'll second it.
All right, motion and a second for conditional use permit 26-1. Please indicate your idea by answering. All right, for conditional use permit 26-1, all votes are for the motion, so it passes. So you can tell him congratulations. You're welcome. All right, moving on to the second page, conditional use permit 26-7. Go ahead, Aiden.
Thank you. Conditional use 26-7 is for 1301 Caw Avenue. Representative Jean Bear, proposal is to locate a commercial restaurant in the CM, Commercial and Light Industrial Zoning District. The proposal would be located in a portion of a multi-unit complex located at 1301 Caw Avenue. Staff findings. The CM zone does not explicitly permit the use of commercial restaurants. However, it is intended to accommodate commercial retail sales and service facilities. The proposed sandwich shop will be owned and operated by the proprietors of Homesteak Pub, which has been operating in Butte for over 3 years. It will be offering quick service soups, salads, and sandwiches with both dine-in and takeout services. The conditional use process provides for review of public input, a measure of the potential impact of the proposed use on the surrounding neighborhood, and compatibility of the proposed use with the adjoining neighborhood. To provide the board with information about the proposed conditional use, the applicant and planning staff have responded to established questions. Here's a zoning map aerial view of where the property is located. You can see it's in quite a mixed use area. It's in the CM zone, but it's also in close proximity to the C2, R4, R1, and OSD. Here's an outside view of the property. So the proposal would be located in one of the many units that this building has. Here's a general site plan for the proposed restaurant. You can see there's dining room option, the service line, storage space, prep kitchen, and restroom facilities. The location and character of the property and surrounding buildings. The property is located in a CM zoning district. However, R1, R4, R2, and OSD zoning districts are all in close proximity. The multi-unit commercial building is operated by individual lessees, including there's a golf simulator business and a hair salon there. Properties directly adjacent to the location include light industrial businesses and residential dwellings. Similar uses, including the Front Street Market, Town Talk Bakery, and Annie's Cafe, are near the proposed location as well. Proposed vehicle access, circulation, and parking. Vehicle access to and from the site will remain unchanged. No additional parking is required as part of this proposal, and emergency access to the site will be maintained at all times. A parking lot is featured on the north side of the building, where the primary access to the sandwich shop will be located. Sidewalks run along Caw Avenue and along the main entrances to the commercial building, and they appear to be in good condition. All potential nuisances. The proposed restaurant addition to the multi-unit complex may result in slightly increased traffic to the area during hours of operation. However, if the occupancy is in conformance with the commercial building code, it should not considerably increase the traffic as to what is normally expected of a commercially zoned area. Proposed signs and lighting. The property features a freestanding sign visible to traffic along Caw Avenue. The sign is intended to feature tenants of the multi-unit commercial building. A portion of the sign will be updated to include the proposed sandwich shop. Any additional signage beyond that noted above is subject to review and approval by the planning department. The use conforms to the objectives of the comprehensive plan and the purpose of the ordinance. The comprehensive plan place type designation for this property is North Corridor. This place type features streets serving as major transportation routes for people and goods. It links urban neighborhoods to each other and provides relatively fast and easy access to the urban core of Butte. These areas are intended to promote convenient car access while also allowing for safe and appealing use by pedestrians. Restaurants and retail services are listed as both existing and future characteristics of the North Corridor place type. The use or zone classification sought would enhance and promote the comprehensive development of the immediate neighborhood and community. The established character of the existing commercial area would not appear to be impacted by this proposal. There would be no change to the aesthetic of the surrounding properties nor the surrounding landscape if this conditional use permit is approved. It would rather promote development in the community and assist in achieving the goals outlined in the comprehensive plan. Conditions of approval. Any remodeling of the commercial building to accommodate the proposal will be required to meet all building, health, and fire department codes. The property address must be visible and the entrance must be clearly identifiable. The applicant shall be limited to the occupancy level as determined by the Butte-Silver building official and fire marshal. The applicants will be limited specifically to the business as stated and approved. Any future expansions, changes to the business, or building expansions could require further review by the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and the applicants will be required to obtain a Butte-Silver business license. So based on the information provided in the application, staff's analysis of the reviewed criteria, and any public opinion as it relates to the criteria, the board must determine if the applicant has presented evidence to the satisfaction of the board that undue detriment will not result from the granting of this conditional use permit. Section 1738-160, special or conditional use permit decision of the board, requires staff to refer the application to the board within 15 days of the receipt of the application, all requested information. The board, within 60 days, shall deny or approve the application. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions of staff before we ask the applicant to come up? Okay. Is the applicant here, I assume? All right. State your name and let's hear what you're doing.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time. My name is Jean Bear, and my husband Kyle and I own Homestake Pub, and we have a new idea. So here we are.
Well, that's nice and easy. I have one question, whether it's appropriate or not. Julie will probably yell at me. But will you have beer cheese soup?
For you, yes. I mean, not for you. For everyone, yes.
No, just having fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions of the applicant other than my weird one? Any other soup questions or Sanders questions?
I can handle all of those. Anything else, I might need Aiden's help.
All right. We'll move on to the public portion of this. Is there anybody in the audience or present here who would like to voice an opinion in favor of this? All right. Oh, you can do it.
Hi, I'm Will Pizzanti. I own the building. My uncle and I bought it in August, and we are renovating the building to support first-time entrepreneurs and try to make it affordable, but also keep the historic. The building was built in 1919, and it's not in the historic district, but I'd consider it a historic building. And we're just trying to add a bunch of upgrades, and 100% of our rents are going back into the building. We're not doing anything that's not already there. We're just making it better. And yeah, it's been a neat deal to do, and the resilience of these first-time business owners has been pretty amazing. And this building, for sitting empty for 40 years, it's kind of amazing how there's a ton of parking. There's just a lot of really good things about the building that these first-time business owners can use.
Well, thank you very much. That's a nice story. All right, those in favor, do we have anybody who would like to speak in opposition to this request? All right, hearing none. Does staff have any or not staff, do board members have any discussion on this? Again, I'll share my opinion. It seems, in my opinion, it goes the opposite of undue detriment and actually will enhance the area. It seems like a cool opportunity and not really relevant to the request, but really 1919 that was built. That's impressive. It looks great. So, yep, cool. Anybody else have anything they want to share?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I could not be more excited to see that building come to life a little bit, and I'm so grateful for every single small business owner and entrepreneur in this town that takes a chance and invests. So, and it also, you know, conforms to the comprehensive plan, and I just think it's just exactly the kind of thing that we should be doing.
Thank you, Shannon. I always forget to mention that it conforms to the comp plan. I appreciate that. Anybody else have any comments?
I'd second what Shannon said, and just to add on that I'm excited to have a sandwich shop since we lost Paul Bunyan's. If anybody knows of other one, I'd love to know about it.
We could start a campaign to bring the deluxe back. So. Again, off topic, sorry, not being appropriate. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve conditional permit 260007.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion and a second. I'm assuming no discussion, since everybody's already writing. Go ahead and vote. So for conditional use permit 260007, all favors are for the motion. Congratulations, and I look forward to some good soup. All right, our final thing on the agenda tonight is conditional use 26008. Joella, you're back up to get yourself blinded.
Is that working? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is another special use for an Airbnb. It's located at 2907 Elizabeth Warren, conditional use 26-8. The applicant is Jessica Holmes. She resides at 3900 Saddle Rock Road. And again, the proposal is to locate a short-term rental in an existing residence. Per section 1738-180, special use is allowed in the Butte-Silver Municipal Code. The property in question is legally addressed as 2907 Elizabeth Warren Avenue. Here's an overview of the general area. It is a double front property located addressed primarily off of Elizabeth Warren Avenue. It also has a Burke Lane address on it, we discovered when we went down there. The surrounding neighborhood is an R1, and directly to the north is part of the Country Club golf course. This is a view of the property from Elizabeth Warren, and then this one over here is a view from Burke Lane, which you can see here. There's an address off of Burke Lane as well. Again, just an overview of the general area. This is what the rear access would look like to the property off of Burke Lane. This one you can't see super well, and here's another access. The location, character of the property and the surrounding buildings. The property is located in a single-family residential zone. The residence is a conventional 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom that was built in 1964. The surrounding area consists primarily of single-family residence with Country Club golf course situated to the north. The lots in the neighborhood vary in size, ranging from about 12,600 square feet to 39,000 square feet in size. The use does conform to objectives of the comprehensive plan and the purpose of the ordinance. The comprehensive plan place type, again, is the contemporary neighborhood, which is essentially the same as the last presentation I did. It's generally single-family residential housing, but provides the opportunity for higher density housing where appropriate. Some future development in this place type is envisioned to include duplexes and triplexes, as well as infill development resembling that of the traditional neighborhood. The proposed use will not adversely change the use of the property in question. The established character of the existing neighborhood would not appear to be impacted by this proposal. There would be no change to the aesthetics of the surrounding area. And when considering the low-impact commercial nature of the proposal, planning staff believe it would have minimal impact on adjacent properties and property owners. Proposed vehicular access, circulation, and parking. Vehicle access to and from the property appears adequate from the proposed use. Access to the front of the residence is provided via Elizabeth Warren Avenue, with additional access available from Burke Lane at the rear of the property. The site includes a 2-car garage and a paved driveway, which provide off-street parking, and additionally, a U-shaped driveway accessed from Burke Lane allows further off-street parking. The applicant didn't provide any specific details regarding handicap accessible parking or accessibility features, so staff would recommend that the applicant clearly describe available parking configurations and any accessibility limitations within the rental listing to ensure prospective guests are adequately informed. Conditions of approval, these are the same as our standard special use for Airbnbs. The applicant shall be required to secure a state of Montana public accommodation license. Any remodeling of the existing residence performed to accommodate the proposed business will be required to meet all applicable building code and health code requirements, as required by the Butte-Silver Building Code Department and Butte-Silver Health Department, respectively. All necessary approvals must be granted prior to the applicants receiving final business license approval. The property address must be visible, including past dark, and entrance must be clearly identified. The applicant shall be limited to the occupancy levels as determined by the Butte-Silver Building Code Department and the Butte-Silver Fire Marshal. The occupancy levels shall be determined prior to the business license approval. The applicants will be limited specifically to the businesses stated and approved. Any future business expansion, changes in the business, or building expansions will require further review by the zoning board. The applicant will be required to acquire a Butte-Silver business license for short-term rentals. Based on the information provided in the application, staff's analysis of the review criteria, and any public opinion as it relates to the criteria, the board must determine if the applicant has presented evidence to the satisfaction of the board that said undue detriment will not result from the granting of a special use permit for short-term rental. Section 1738-160, special or conditional use permit, decision of the board, requires staff to refer the application to the board within 15 days of the receipt of the application and all requested information. The board shall within 60 days deny the application and give reason, or approve the application, and the zoning officer shall issue a zoning compliance permit. Thank you.
Something to add, or is that something else? I'm sorry?
It's just information on an opponent that had sent an email. I believe that the board received that.
Yeah, I believe there is a
Email
letter
that?
in opposition, is that correct?
Yes, so as long as you guys have it.
All right. Well, I'll mention that again in the public portion of this. My only question of staff is 2 addresses. Why, how, that's weird. Or maybe it'll be of the applicant when they come up, I don't know.
It might be an applicant question. There are a lot of questionable things with addressing in the community. I can say that after working on it for 3 years. I'm not 100% sure. It could have at one time been a duplex where, you know, I really don't know.
Okay, that's fine. All right, does board have any questions of staff at this point? All right, seeing none, would the applicant like to come forward and tell your story?
Hello, I'm Jessica Holmes. Me and my husband are both small business owners here in Butte, and we now, I guess, are gonna own a residential property. We purchased it back in September, and clearly by the photos, it needs some love. It's been vacant for about a year prior to us purchasing it, and prior to that, it was a pretty elderly couple that lived there. So we've been doing our best to clean up the inside currently. The outside still has a lot of love to be done to it, but since we purchased it in September, we're waiting for spring and summer to roll around before we get everything cleaned up. But it's been fun, and we're looking forward to it.
All right, any idea on the address?
You know, the only thing that might be a possibility is the people who previously owned it, we've kind of found out that he was a business owner, so possibly they used a second address on the Burke Lane side. I have no idea.
Okay.
Maybe that's just an assumption. Burke Lane is also kind of a small cul-de-sac side street, so I don't know. Maybe that was after Elizabeth Warren was addressed. I have no idea. It's
Mostly
very
just a
confusing for
curiosity.
everyone. It keeps them on their toes.
All right, thanks. I assume, oh, yep, go ahead, please.
In doing some of the analysis for this project, it just came to mind when she said that. Butte-Silver has the property addressed as the Elizabeth Warren address, and we don't have an official address for the Burke Street. So most likely, if you could use the Elizabeth Warren address, that would be the one that we would have on record with our department.
Yeah, I would suggest picking the right one. It sounds like that's the right one to pick. And
Okay.
use one or the other.
Okay.
Any questions of the applicant? All right, we'll go on to public hearing. Is there anybody here that would like to speak in favor of this project? Crickets out there, so that's none. Anybody like to speak in opposition? I will note for the record that we received one written opposition to this. I assume all board members received that, so we don't have to read it necessarily. Okay. In that case, so the public meeting is closed, or the public hearing portion of this is closed. Any discussion before we move on? Kind of my statement's the same as before. So.
I'll just be like Stephen Coe. It won't be about soup, but holy pine needles.
Go ahead.
Suggestion that maybe any wayfinding apps have the Elizabeth Warren app's address exclusively so that they don't get lost, and for accountability as well.
Yep. Sounds reasonable. All right, with that, we can open up for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I would make a motion to approve conditional use 26-8 with the conditions of approval as outlined.
I'd be happy to second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second in favor of conditional use 2608. Please indicate your preference by voting. for conditional use 26008. All votes are in favor for this, so congratulations and good luck. All right, the last thing on the agenda is to adjourn, so we're all done.